Ali here at MindWaveMeditation.com, and today we're going to talk about depression. Nobody really wants to really talk about depression, but I'm going to do it because I got some things to tell you, and I know that if you apply this stuff and you are depressed, or you do feel depression from time to time, or you know someone who's depressed or also feels depression from time to time, that you'll realize that it's a very common thing. Most of us go through it, pretty much all of us go through it, and it's just something we don't discuss because it's just a bit icky. It's a bit, you see a video on depression, if you're in a good mood, you're not going to watch it. But if this resonates with you, then you're going to find this useful. I know you are, because I found it useful. I had depression. I had it for years. I wasn't clinically depressed, but I certainly made good friends with the big cloud of doom, and it was very apparent in my life of many years, alongside anxiety. Was an alcoholic. There's a big load of lists. We don't need to go into all that stuff, but please continue watching this video. See if you can get past this cheeky grin and take on all of these notes, apply them to your life and see if they work. There's all sorts of different types of depression. I'm not saying this is a cure-all video, but it certainly will help. I know it will help. And if it does help, let me know. Please let me know. Let others know. Reach out, talk, share all of the stuff so we can connect, because ultimately we're all one big ball of stuff, and we're just little cells in this giant ball that we call Earth. And when we break it down and we really think about it, we are all just connected. We really are. It's true. It's a fact. It's one of those facts. We are one thing. Don't fight me on it. So keep watching. We'll dive right in. I hope you're okay. Keep smiling, even if you don't feel like it. Plaster on a smile, even just one of these. That'll do. It starts triggering off all the good stuff inside the body. And I'll see you in a second. Okay, so there's lots of factors why you may be experiencing depression on a regular basis, or even just from time to time. It could be a chemical imbalance. It could be to do with your diet or the things you're consuming. A lot of people don't know that what they eat and drink has massive amounts to do with what they're feeling and the outcome of how their body's reacting and how their mind's reacting. And that is quite baffling in this day and age that we're still at this point. But look, don't feel bad if you don't know this stuff, but it's time to know this stuff. So I'm not letting you off the hook either. If you're eating a lot of bad food and you're drinking a lot of toxic stuff, that could be, those luminous drinks. Anything that's luminous isn't really made for the body. All of these poisons that we consume, it's all going in and it has to come out, and it comes out in ways like panic attacks and anxiety and depression. A lot of these things are suppressants, and they really, really dumb us down and calcify the pineal gland, if you know anything about that. It does all sorts of things, and when you remove all these things and you do the whole process of elimination and see what you're putting in there, you go all the way down, and then you bring all these things back, you really see how incredibly powerful they are for affecting your mood. You drink in any of those Red Bull Monster drinks, it's just full of absolute crap. And again, don't feel bad if you do, and if you enjoy it, knock yourself out. It's your life. I'm just here to tell you that having gone through this process of starting again, essentially, and working myself back up to this state of figuring out what does what, it's very apparent that a lot of these things are very toxic for us. And I just want you to have a look at those things to see if you can make some changes and feel better. Again, do whatever you want in your life and enjoy it all the way. Do it in balance if you want. Do whatever you want, but try both sides of the coin. That's all I want for you, is to enjoy your life, but also really experience all of life. And if you're depressed, then something's not working, something has gone wrong, and it's okay, and don't worry, and it's totally natural, because really, most of us are depressed on some level, we just don't admit it. If you can dare to look into this stuff and dare to work on this stuff, then you will alleviate yourself from a lot of suffering. And once you've gone through that process and you look back and go, okay, that's because of this, this, and this, I think I'm going to start doing a bit more of this, this, and this, then you can have more of an objective opinion about life, the holistic version of life, not just our experience of life. And that's my hopes for you, is to try out all this good stuff, see that it works, enjoy the process, feel things like love. I had a friend on Facebook today, just before doing this video, he said something like, this whole concept of love, and how he just, he's just so numb to this concept of love. And someone else was like, yeah, I totally agree. And it's just really sad. It's just really sad. You don't have to be in a relationship to feel love. Tune into your heart space and realize that everything is love or fear, and everything you do is because of love or fear. And love doesn't have to be a Hallmark card, it's something that we inherently get to experience. And a lot of this stuff is because we have a lack of love for ourselves and our life, and we're not where we want to be. And then, we get depressed, and we have these snackcidents where we overindulge in all this bad food to kind of fill that hole. And what is that hole? That void, that numbness, is a lack of love. And that's what it is, generally speaking. Again, never just want to say this is what it is, but generally speaking, we're filling a void, a lack of love. So in this video, let's discover what that is, and let's just go. All right. Whoosh. Number 1, make friends with the cloud of doom. The cloud of doom. I used to think that this was what life was, this feeling of this cloud of doom that just, when it came, it was just all-encompassing, this omnipresence that I felt powerless to. Do you feel that way? Do you know the cloud of doom? It's the same cloud. We all know the cloud of doom. And when it comes quick, and you feel like there's nothing you can do. You're completely powerless to it. And what we've got to remember is that the cloud of doom is an illusion of the mind, and it might be apparent because of a number of things, the food, the chemicals, the focusing on the past, or whatever is the reason it's there is irrelevant at this point. It's there. The cloud is here. And what we've got to do is first just acknowledge this. Okay, I'm going through life, and now and again, I feel like there's a cloud of doom all around me and in my life, and I can't get out of bed, and I can't do this, and I feel numb and all this stuff. Okay, I hear you. It's totally natural. I had it for years. Loads of the people that you know and love have had it and probably just don't say anything because it's just too painful to talk about. But let's just talk about it. Let's acknowledge the cloud of doom. I decided to make friends with the cloud of doom. I was like, that's what I used to do at school anyway. If there was a bully or there was someone I didn't like, I was like, I'm going to make friends with them. That's how I get around this. Make friends with them. They become friends with me, then they go off and do their thing, but I'm left out of it because they consider me a friend. Just a little cheeky tip for you there. Make friends with the cloud of doom. How often is it coming into your life? It was in my life all of the time, on a daily basis, different levels of severity. And when I started to get better, when I started to dive into meditation, qigong, yoga, good eating, positive thinking, watching comedy, feeling love, practicing love and gratitude and all of this sort of stuff, the cloud started to dissolve, it dissipated, it went away. And then it wasn't until then when I realized, oh, there's some correlation here between the things I'm doing and the cloud of doom. And it's so simple to say it now, it's like, of course, but when you're in that place, if you don't know that, you're just powerless to the cloud of doom. So let's just unpack it. Let's just quickly get there. Here we go. So how often is this cloud in your life? It was in my life on a daily basis. And then now, because I'm doing all this good stuff, in the past, watch the self-talk, it has reared its ugly head maybe a handful of times a year, just really momentarily just come back. But because I've got all these tools and I'm ready for it, if it does, dissolves again. I had the cloud of doom come knocking not too long ago, maybe a month or so ago. Yeah, just after Christmas. And it got me good, got me in the grip. Went down. Had the face, didn't know what to do. All the tools went out the window. And I was in there. And I realized it's the aftermath of Christmas. It's all the toxins, it was all the stuff, it was the beginning of the year, the overwhelmment of doing all the stuff. It was the heaviness of teaching some people that were going through some really big things. That was getting to me. I wasn't necessarily doing as much of my qigong as I like, and it got me. It took me down, and I learned the lesson that I've got to keep doing these things because it balances you out and it prepares you. It's prevention for the cloud of doom. So how often is it happening in your life? Just have that conversation. Number one, how often is this? If it's daily, then you need help. You need help. If this is happening on a daily basis, this is not a comfortable experience for you. So seek help. Give me a shout. Give anyone a shout that talks about this kind of stuff, because there's loads of solutions. Look at this face. I never used to have this face all the time. And it's because I've worked through this stuff, and you can work through it too, and it's a lot easier than you think. You've just got to first of all have this conversation with yourself and then get to work. So we really want to be whittling this cloud of doom down to, very, very occasionally. Let's just face it. Life is difficult. Life is crazy sometimes. There's all things going on in the world. And isn't it a bit natural that we should be a little bit depressed sometimes because of what's going on? So to be like anti-depression is maybe not the answer. Let's just accept that it's a part of us. It's a part of life. We all go through things. Look around. Look at what's going on. Maybe now and again being depressed is okay. It's just how often it's happening and how severe it is. That's what we really need to focus on. So I know that it rears its ugly head a few times a year. It has in the past done that. So I'm like this. I know if I've been drinking, which I do very occasionally, or I've been lost in thought, then I know that it could be on its way. So I ramp up the good food and the exercise and all the rest of it, and it seems to prevent it coming. So we're going to dive more into all this stuff, but just have a think about that. Have that conversation with yourself. How often is it happening? And how often can you handle it happening? Number 2, know your triggers. So this is an extension of what we're just talking about. Your triggers are the guides. What we see as our triggers being like, oh, I've been triggered. Everything triggers us these days, but like we've all got a handful of triggers, really. Things that we haven't quite worked on yet, or things we're working through. These triggers are your guide to freedom. And Oh man, I've had a whole list of triggers through my life, but I've worked through, and I reckon I've kind of just got a nice handful that I manage now, and I'm okay with that. And so what are your triggers? Like, so for example, I knew that when I have been drinking, which I do hardly ever now, maybe once or twice a year, maybe 3 at a push, because it just doesn't serve me anymore. I don't like the hangovers. It shakes me off my game. My day gets pushed out. I just realized it wasn't doing me any favors. So crossed it off the list, and then life got better for me. Maybe not for you, but for me. Overwhelmment, realizing when I'm being overwhelmed, then things just start to go in the wrong direction for me. So I prepare myself, if I start getting overwhelmed, to sort of rein it in and realize that everything is just data. Every time you're overwhelmed or depressed, it's generally because there's a data overload. What do I mean by data? Just information of the future thoughts, the past thoughts, the negative past thoughts, the things you've got to do, what people think, what you think about them. Data, everything is just data. And unless you hoover up that data through meditation or just being a good mind manager, it turns into the cloud of doom. So we've really got to know what's going on up here so we can prevent our day, so we can have a better day and a better experience of life. So name your big 3 right now. Think about it. Get a pen and paper out and think about your big 1 to 5 triggers. 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5 if you need them. Get those down and decide right now what 5 things are your 5 bad habits, your 5 triggers that pull you closer to depression. And you've been depressed and you've been happy, so it's not like life has always been a cloud of noise and a big ball of meh and a big cloud of doom. You've been happy, you are happy. You know, we go in and out of these things. It's time to really pinpoint these things so we can be more happy more often, and when it's naturally time to be a bit sad or a bit depressed, we've got the tools to go. So there's a link below, and it's a little thing called a convert scale, and I want you to put your 5 triggers, your 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5 triggers in the left hand side, and then on the right hand side write down the good habits that you're going to do. So if one of those things is your number 1 trigger is one of your family members says something and it just sets you off, then maybe on the right hand side is to tell yourself, I love you, thank you, I love you, thank you, love, gratitude, love, gratitude. That could be one thing. Another thing could be having a partner. If you have a partner or a friend, tell them about this and say, look, can I give you a buzz when this happens, and just sort of talk me out of it, tell me the things I need to hear. Have that connection. I'm lucky my wife spots this straight away and she's like, let's talk. And I'm like, I think for me, Nirvana, the band, had a massive impact on why I was seeking depression, I think, when I was a teenager. Most teenagers don't really know who they are, and you know, I found there's a lyric in one of their songs, I miss the comfort in being sad. I miss the comfort in being sad. Like, I loved that stuff. I still do, it's awesome. But I loved that, and I felt that, and like the whole generation felt that as well at the time. And it was really bad for me. And it was really bad for a lot of people. And it's obviously really bad for Kurt Cobain as well. But that's what we do, you know. I wanted to be like my heroes, so I was seeking depression. I didn't realize this till years later, but like playing those songs and listening to that and engaging myself in that culture of moping and feeling like everything's bad and it's all me. Like, you know, it's far from love. It's far from nirvana. That's the irony. It's far from love, and it caused me a lot of crap. And, you know, spent a few years later just hoovering up all that grunge. And so we've got to think about what we're consuming and what we're listening to, what we're eating, what we're drinking, what we're watching, what are we thinking, and is it helping us come back to here and find love within ourselves or not? This is a really important thing. We go through life, we don't think about these things. So think about it. Decide to overpower depression. If this is a factor in your life and it's reoccurring, take a moment and say, okay, I'm now going to overpower this cloud of doom. I'm going to prevent this cloud of doom from even coming. And the way we do that is everything I've mentioned. Dive into meditation, yoga, healthy eating, positive thinking, watching comedy on a regular basis. Stop watching all the killing stuff and the death stuff and like all the horrors of life. Look, nothing wrong with horror, nothing wrong with a bit of that and a bit of heavy metal and all that sort of stuff. It's all totally cool. It's the balance of life. It's heaven and hell. It's light and dark. It's all of that stuff. I'm not going down. Everybody should just be like, yeah, man. Not at all. It's how we process it and what we do with that afterwards. If you're watching a horror film and then you're going to bed at night going like that, it's not good for you. You should watch a horror film, realize it's a film, process what you need to process, go, ooh, that was amazing, and go to bed. That's how you do it. If you're doing the same with the things you're eating and afterwards you're like this and you feel bad and you feel sick, then it's the stuff you're consuming. We've got to start really looking at this stuff, because if we don't do it, no one else is going to do it. You might be lucky to see one of these videos where someone's going bah, 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 and telling you some of these things, but I never had that. I spent years of trying to figure this stuff out. So I want to save you years of doing that. So tune in and realize what else you're putting in there and decide to really fine tune those triggers, your awareness around those triggers, and what you can do to defeat, prevent, overcome, all of that stuff. And it just takes a conversation with you and yourself, and then you just get to work. So think about what's pulled you back in the past. If you've got a partner or a friend, tell them, talk to them. If you know that a clean week is what you need to do, dive into a clean week. You know, chuck out all the crap, stop drinking all the hard booze or any of the booze and smoking the stuff. Whatever you need to do, decide to honor yourself. If you're struggling in life, then something has gone wrong. It might not be your fault. It might be a chemical thing, like we said before, or it could be your fault. Take responsibility if it is. And look, it was all my fault before. I had a great upbringing. Everything was cool. I just went, I just went wrong. I just did it wrong. I just did life wrong. I didn't really figure that out till just after 30. And, you know, I'm getting a bit squeamish talking about it because there's just so much pain that I had to work through. It's not there anymore. I've done it. Done. But it was awful. And I know if you're still watching this, then you've experienced it too. So I sympathize with you. I just want you to work through it as well, so you don't have any more years of suffering. So let's work together, work through this stuff, print out that thing, write your stuff, let me know, and keep going strong. So all that's left to say is prevention is really the cure. You know, let's stop putting these plasters, band-aids on these things. It doesn't work. It's just, it all gets faulty. It's like a crap building foundation. Eventually it's just gonna implode. So the number one thing to do is really, apart from everything we just said, is find your purpose. When you find your purpose, you've got something to get out of bed for in the morning. Your purpose could be a really small thing. It could be a really, really, really big thing. You could be just wanting to tend your garden, flowers, and make them look awesome. Or it could be raising a child, a really good child. It could be building a company. It could be looking after your family. It could be financial freedom. It could be winning something awesome. It could be a million different things. But find your purpose. Once you find your purpose, then everything else channels towards that. And then you start thinking, I don't need that. That's not going to help my purpose. I don't need that either. I do like a little bit of that, but not too much of that. Yeah, I have just a little bit of that. Actually, I'm doing too much of that now. I got to get rid of that. Whatever it is, find your purpose. Hone in on it every single day. Tune into this purpose. And this becomes the driving factor. This is what really helps you stay on track, keeps you in line. And when I found that for myself, life changed. I became calm, became happy more often than not, found absolute happiness over relative happiness. And I started enjoying life, started enjoying myself, my friends, my family, stopped making excuses, started getting things done, started feeling good because I got stuff done. And then ultimately started teaching other people to do that too. Because seeing the transformation in others and seeing people go from there to there, and then looking back and, oh my God, I'm doing all this stuff, that's amazing, thanks so much. It was just blissful, it was just a mission complete. So click the link below. You've heard it before if you have. Dare to Discover. It's a mini course I created. It helps you find your purpose. I'm so proud of it. I love it. I redid mine this week. I've just finished it. I've got my vision again, just more fine-tuned. It makes me sleep better at night. I know who I am. I know what I'm doing. I know where I'm going. And I'd love for you to find that too. So I'll see you on the next one. Keep me posted. We're going to talk more about depression and really get into what's really causing it and the ins and outs. But this is just a kind of like an introduction. If you're really, really, really struggling, you know where I am. There's all the links. Look, I will answer any of those emails, any of those messages. I'll get back to you. We'll talk. We'll walk through it, work through it, walk and work through it. Hope you're okay. Look forward to seeing you again. Give us a little thing, little click, subscribe and all that jazz.